was a low start for me, and interactions remained somewhat low, but still noteworthy about a few that happened today. So, skipped morning period, needed that extra time to sleep. First period, no really interesting events. Second period, one issue that I named socially. I was playing badminton with one of my friends on their boyfriend group. As we were having a fun time, my mind kind of got into a software instability moment as like competition and like 1v1s came. I was expecting like a simple beginner game, not like an entire competition of the winner. And because of my complex past with these people, one friend does play quote unquote tough, one friend does do it this way. One friend tends to be a little more physical with how they do things, and sometimes it can be threatening because of my past with that person and because of what's been going on. That moment panned in my mind, like in that competition, as an instability moment because of the way this type of competition happened. No one implicitly said it would happen, but because it's an all boys group, and in high school, you guys know how all boys group dynamics work. So it happened anyway. It's not bad, but it's not good. But I'm still gonna note this anyway because in my mind, something emotional is currently being like communicated to me. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think of that later on. So third period, more notes, more traditional stuff. It's more about like learning about Earth's atmospheric layers this time, so kind of chill. Fourth period, barely finished up another book search assignments about Vladimir Lenin and his Russian Revolution. I told you guys about that yesterday. I got a few wrong, but at least I'm finally done with it. Lunch, not really too much happened, as I said, y'all, but oh well, there's one thing I do want to know. So basically, I'm not gonna air out every single conversation that's gonna happen everywhere I go, but one thing I do want to talk about is that as one of the girls of the friend group, one of you guys were talking about like that AI stuff, and now you want to search this up on how this works. So there was one other girl, and there was like another one called you out. I'm not even sure. It's one of your own friends. I'm sure they have like a sentiment of AI. There's a lot of controversy that surrounds AI. They told you not to search it up, and then there's another person who told you that AI is toxic. And no both of these are really valid, and it really is today. But what I'm actually beginning to realize right here is that as it was like occurring, what I'm beginning to see is that there was like this anger to the girl right there that was using the AI. This one was kind of like so because he was using AI, there was like social questioning that was been of social suspicion that was like kind of building up. Yeah, they don't want you to be using AI, and that Google's Meta AI already takes over anyway. And their suspicion was growing, and I could sense it. Like what I did is I temporarily vetoed some of that anger by asking about a beautiful club painting that I saw in the building that was near the library in our school. And if you guys did see that building at near the library again, please do let me know because it looked really good. And to other people too, if you guys saw it too, it looked great. I'm not sure if they took it down or if they didn't. I'll check it out later on, but. As I was saying, yeah, they were pushing you on the AI stuff. Like they're quite actively questioning you, and if it went any more, I think there could have been some like sort of dissonance between you guys. I know you guys are friends with each other, so I just wanted to make sure nothing goes wrong. So I kind of I was chill, but I didn't want anything to go overboard. No drama to occur. So that's what I tried to do. But other than that, nothing really much. This is mostly chill. I gotta drink my water, relax. I didn't talk as much because I don't have much of a voice here. But anyways, I don't mean to be evil to the friend group, y'all. I just sensed something was kind of out of balance, so I tried to fix it. But anyways, credits to you guys. Now I'm gonna move on to fifth period. Nothing eventful. I just turned in a few assignments and sixth period, this is where it gets super challenging. Last year, I told you guys that I switched out. Now, as a result, truth be told, I can still calculate the roots of quadratic equations, factor, and help others to find solutions. But because my two new teacher works differently, inadvertently and unmeaningly, she kind of destabilized my skills. That means I ended up inverting the solutions for positive or negative when I was factoring them, and I also inverted for the solution. So that kind of became a problem. So that's how I was using like the super X method to solve like a quadratic equation. Then at the same time, she was also teaching something else. My issue is that the super X method is inefficient to where the values of C is equal to 0 for a quadratic. So I got really confused, and combine that with a teacher who's actively teaching us new methods. I really got confused. So temporarily, like my mind was kind of jumbled on how to solve quadratic equations. Like I know how to solve quadratics, but when that skill gets mixed up, when something goes wrong, then I end up getting literally everything else wrong. So let's say, for example, here. So you guys see this little text place that I did. So my problem was 6x squared minus 8x plus 2. So my teacher does it the standard traditional way. You find the greatest common factor that divides cleanly. She did it this way. 2 parentheses 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. And that's very simple. Then using the super x method or her key method that she uses. So basically AC here is 3 times 1. That's 3 right there. And B is negative 4. So 3x on this side. The coefficient isn't exactly 1. So what adds up to negative 4 but multiplies it 3. So that's negative 1 and 3. So your goal here is that in parentheses you put simplify this one to x minus 1, then 3x minus 1. So you get it like that. And 2. Issue is that if she was teaching this, I'll get actively confused because I'm doing this a different because I'm also squaring it. What I do is that we do it the reckless way sometimes. So I do it this way that I want to be absolutely efficient in this. So what I use is that I make sure the coefficient of a is equal to 1, no matter if all of the other quadratics, sorry, the ones that are non-terminating. So I eventually got to the answer, even though having to deal with having to square these irregular fractions. It was kind of difficult, but I eventually got to this answer. And once I got to this answer, I was kind of confused because is this the same thing as that one or am I wrong? And that's a big thing here is that this is the same answer, but it's just written in a different way. My teacher just factored in the more traditional way. If you guys go to Desmos right now, so we have 6x squared minus 8x plus 2. This is my version of it. 6 parentheses x minus 1 parentheses x minus 1 third. She did it 2 parentheses 3x minus 1 x minus 1. So these are exactly the same parabolas. It's the same representation of it. Yeah, see, chat, it says 6767. Now, see this right here? Same thing. But the issue is that my teacher did it differently. My goal is to find the solution, not try to do all the factoring stuff of it. So I just got really stumped on that. Considering so, she even goes different on her methods of factoring. So we'll have problems not in the literal sense between student and teacher, but how we solve things differently. So I solve it differently, same answer. She solves it differently, same answer. So I'm gonna be like, oh my god, this is gonna be a long mathematical calculative journey for the rest of this year. Then I still need like giant pieces of paper to do my work, not like a little box on a problem on a paper. And the thing is that the constrained time of class time doesn't allow me enough time and framework for me to go at my speed pace, and classes are much more structured this time, so less time is given. So it's good because I know where due dates are and I know how things will be. That means I have to speed myself faster to the pace of the room. And even when on instructions it says factor the problem or do anything related to that, I'm gonna be like, not this time. I'll do standard quadratic, I'll square it, and I'll complete the square for it. I'll do the rectangular method, super X method. But if something gets too confusing, to me, we're just moving back to the basics and how I did in my old class because it's already on two different teaching styles. Eventually, people adopt their own styles. So that's what I'm gonna do next time. It's no divides here, but it's something that's more related to of like different systems, incompatible, but still lead to the same solution. So later on, before so I wanted to visit a new club. They did something outside, so I decided to just leave my name and ID in the teachers, like inside the room of the club meeting, so that they know someone wants to visit out a new club of their own. So I'll head back there next week and start doing outside. I believe every time I join a club, there has to be something like an introductory moment, like a moment inside the class before they know things. So you gotta know me, I gotta know them, I gotta know how things work instead of just going outside like in the know. So but so then it was. Then I talked to this other girl right before dismissal, before I got picked up. We hit off a really interesting conversation, primarily about one of the issues I've always been talking about, always been like a radical for in terms of letting it be known. For groups that rotate, that don't explicitly state to the newcomer that they rotate, the next day they come, they're gone. I talked to her about it and it was a little awkward, but it went smooth though. I told her about the method that I use. Do you think that just interacting with people in the morning period or other time during school, would they offer a friend group entry permanently? What do you think of it? For all reasons named, I won't reveal all of her details, but when she was in her earlier years before senior year, she's a senior now, but she told me she used to hang out with another girl group. But because she had connections with other girls and boys in the friend group, the girl was in, interaction just continued forward and smoothly and became a pretty happy friendship, a happy friend clique. She says it quite depends, but I'd still question why. I'd say it worked for her in my view because she did have a few scaffolds, like a friend of a friend, before joining a group, so they hit it off quite well, to be honest. I've been saying this because I've been doing what she did before, just go up and talk to people, but it's not working for me because I have zero social scaffolds. It's still possible for someone of my own. People in high school are given like just talk or put yourself out there more or interact with others. Using reflection, I argue the advice is logically sound, but emotionally blind to how a lot of these dynamics work. Some groups have implicit judgment. Some aren't ready to face discomfort of having new people or even awkwardness. That's why I got kicked out a few times before in prior friend groups before. We only seen polite behavior, but like not real people that do genuinely want to accept you. So a lot of the friend groups are usually closed off. So some would see me as a radical for the way I would see or think about this, but it's how merit-based logic systems work. That's how many of people in adult dating. That's how many people in friendship making. That's how people in the adult world run. High school groups out there, many are technically sincere, but mostly structurally shallow. Real life forces these superficiality bonds to break away post graduation, but people grow then. The issue is people who understood well back then still needed help. Very little people gave it to them. And newcomers such as freshmen, even I once before, fell for that same advice because some people believe high school is logical. But the thing is, it kind of is not. This type of thinking is meant for the adult world because it doesn't run on teenager or group-based thinking, it runs on merit. So she told me that even her friend group sometimes never tells her where they go to because if it's rating or something occurs, otherwise it causes them to leave their table. She said she's learned to accept it and is kind of like hanging on elsewhere. But in enlightenment terms, and what I've learned from these authors is that is still wrong. As I've always said before, friend groups must be explicit in how they work. I mean, if you move one day, like you gotta tell the others. It's just basic reciprocity. It's how you show you care. If not, then you prove your friend group is stable. But explicitly shallow and stuff really gets challenging. That same mechanic is also seen in adult-based relationships too. Infrastructure, trading, or even someone who does crimes for a living. Adult relationships, you gotta tell if you're not gonna do something the same, or let's say something that's major, such as if you change a seat at the park. You gotta tell your wife or husband, girlfriend, or boyfriend where you're gonna be sitting at, not just leave them sitting somewhere you think that they're gonna be sitting at. One partner changes feelings or expectations but doesn't voice them, assuming the other should know. You create problems on that end. Will I let a partner like that step over me like that? No, I don't play with masks, whether it be a test that naturally comes from other girls to see if the boy is one of them or maybe someone different. I don't understand why, but I have gone through way enough to be even wearing a mask at all anyway. So people would see me as I am really not what they want me to be for their own comforts. Not an excuse to do stupid things or let things pass, but it's a saying that I won't follow your orders if they just don't make logical sense. Business infrastructure, let's say for example, if you don't tell coworkers the small things, for example, let's say if you're making a banner for a company, you have to put in Romato Mono font instead of Times New Roman. You use Times New Roman instead, and guess what it looks like? A banner that looks like an ad. For a more literal example, an IT team updates a server at midnight and deals with an issue with the internal operating system of a given computer, but doesn't let the other teams know. Well, if removing that issue removed certain dependency files and other things that worked, then other teams that needed those files will not have it. Guess where it's going to be gone? It's going to be deleted, gone without a trace. Say for crime activity, say for a gang that's snuffing out all of the stuff that I most certainly cannot see on camera. Say for example, the criminals have a meetup at this place. The member changes the location and that's half of the people though, thinking that that half people will tell to the other half people. That never happens. Boom. Someone gets arrested because one of those locations had a CCTV camera caught right in one of their sissy baka little faces, and one of them got arrested, and their police already know about the crime organization that exists. Oh, great. Anyways, back to the literal place. She said in her own examples that many teachers, as you pass through high school, and you like them, you don't like them, more or less. She's already a senior. She's already becoming an adult. She told me what sticks with that group because she's one of the only groups that she's in right now. So, I mean, if it's a place that you just stick with and not like a place that offers true belonging or after interactions are like genuinely seen, not just done, then I get why. It also proves to me that within other friend groups operating like this is a systemic problem in many high schools like mine. No one wants to name it because it destabilizes the comforts of that many depend on, but real life punishes this when it's applied to adulthood. The comfort that friend groups are neutral, comfort that friend groups are soft cliques, but they produce harms that are unseen to them but seen by others. By me, by her, by others I've talked to. It's going to be named anyway, so if someone could eventually solve it. Since I name it, I get to take action on it. What would I do? I'm going to name the problem as it is. Someone in their own friend group someday will learn to change the way how their dynamics are again. Be more explicit to newcomers, so even if it's only a few now or a few later on. So anyway, I talked to her a little bit more. She's a senior despite being less tall for her height. She's chill, she's great, and she told me a ton about and the club she's attended. She said she ain't taking college. She doesn't know what she's doing right now, and she's kind of going to take a gap year to see what really works for her. She didn't add my Instagram because she don't give out users like that. I infer something happened to her over time or single event that caused her to stop adding people openly. For all reasons, I'm not going to make this a duck's chase, so we'll just leave it as it is. Not all details I have to know, to be honest. So like that hesitation yesterday, I got that same feeling of wanting to interact with the girl as I was like moving to my pickup place, versus not going anywhere. Like, what if I would get judged by her friends? What if something would happen? But thankfully, it went well. She seemed to be the opposite. She offered warm, neutral presence a few minutes later after school. If I ever had no one to talk to, I'm proud to have interacted with her because now my field test, this is a success of my character. We actually made another connection here, and I'm proud of that for now. And I'm even surprised she told that to me. If you ever feel alone, you'll have someone to talk to at the end of the day. So yeah, all that is today for me.